Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Asif Saleh. I'm the Executive Director of BRAC. I'm here with Kavanas Rashid Dia of Meta to talk about empowering women and youth on digital platforms. So, Dia, over to you.
Thanks, Asif Bhai, and welcome everyone for joining us. And thank you for joining us today. I am Dia, as Asif Bhai has said. I am the head of public policy for Bangladesh at Meta. And we're really excited to be here because this has been a partnership that we've been working on for a very long time. As you know, as communities, as we've seen across the world during the pandemic, there has been a leapfrog in the number of people coming online and using digital tools and services. And you know, this has been happening across the world, not specifically in Bangladesh, but around the world. And it's really been an explosion of people coming in to share their ideas, their expressions, starting their businesses, supporting causes that they care about, and really doing a plethora of things that they would have otherwise done offline. But at the same time, you know, when so many people are coming into this new ecosystem, this new digital ecosystem, it really creates a need to think about digital citizenship. The way we think about active citizenship in the offline space, we think about what digital citizenship looks like. And really, digital citizenship, you know, the way at least we think about it at Meta, is how we navigate our privileges and obligations in the digital space. It is how we decipher and share information that we have access to, how we communicate with each other, how we keep ourselves safe, and most importantly, how we interact with each other in a respectful and inclusive manner. We all have a role to play in creating this inclusive digital ecosystem as a community. As a woman, you know, coming online or like being part of this wave has been really exciting. There's been so many doors that have opened, but that has also led to many questions. How do I keep myself safe? How do I store my password safely? Do I share all kinds of photos online? Who has access to my photos? There's all these big questions. And one of the things that we're really excited about today to talk a little bit about is on how we can work collectively to respond to those questions. Similar to how we have schools and classrooms to talk about how we navigate this physical world, there are opportunities for us to work together to develop these same resources, tools, and experience to tell us how we should be navigating the digital world. One of the flagship programs of Meta is We Think Digital, which is a program that's been running across the Asia Pacific region. And that's really about building these resources and modules and tools that helps people to navigate the digital space. We're excited that we can bring this program to Bangladesh, and we're very excited about our partnership with BRAC, where we can all have a collective role in shaping our digital futures. And that's just not the private sector company like Meta or a civil society organization like BRAC, but also governments, individuals, experts, and really the whole community coming together to navigate this space and collectively make sure it's inclusive and safe.
Yeah, so I think that is the very crucial point you mentioned, yeah, that it is absolutely important to make this as accessible as possible and as inclusive as possible, all the tools, right? So what I see on the ground is that this divide between digital and non-digital is getting blurred, because you talk about digital citizenship, exactly that, because the idea that essentially what we are seeing on the ground is that it's the impact of that, or as there are positive impacts, but there are also the negative impacts are also happening in real world, even though the things are happening in digital world. So how do we connect those? How do we ensure that there is seamless sort of awareness on all of these digital literacy issue, but also safety and protection that actually impacts their real life as well? And that's where I think we come in. So we are also very excited about this partnership, because BRAC's focus has always been about ensuring that giving people the tools, right? So it's not very prescriptive per se. So it's like people get the tool and they can change their lives themselves. That has been the guiding principle for BRAC's development work. So in Bangladesh now, here's a huge number of young population, and they're the largest demography all around. And they're coming in online, as you mentioned, in large numbers every year, and which is becoming more and more mainstream part of their lives. So this is the time, and this is the time to penetrate and also create ambassadors all across the country who is going to be the go-to person Also, if there's a need for information, there is obviously you can flow information digitally, but nothing is more powerful than interaction when people actually tell people you trust. They actually give you the information. That's when it's most powerful. So we come in there as well. That the whole idea behind bridging that gap between online and the offline world. So it's a very, very important foundational part for a lot of our future digital intervention, because we are also moving into how we deliver our services as well, which is becoming more and more digital across the country as well. I think the timing is really good. We need to look at scale, and also I think that there's interesting part of this is also the advocacy part of the program as well. That it's not just about BRAC or Meta. You know, you have to bring in a larger sector coalition of partners around. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely, Asif. And I think you've touched on a really important, two important points, and I'll touch on those step by step as I respond to your question. Is this idea around developing tools that other people can use and shape it as they want. And I think that's really important because, the digital space is really fast evolving. It's not a stagnant thing. It's not that you create something static and it stays that way. So it's really important that people have those tools, that basic foundational information and skills that they can use in different ways and however that they want to do. So at Meta, we have a 5-point approach to how we think about online safety or digital literacy at large. The first one is our policies, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about the coalition there, but our policies are basically our community standards. We develop these community standards in consultation with experts around the world to make sure that these are as locally nuanced, but at the same time globally operational, so that we can apply an equitable measure across the globe. And really the coalition of partners, is this larger advocacy that you just referred to, is really important to feed into this process. We want to make sure that the Facebook and the broader Meta community standards are responsive to the needs on the ground, but at the same time is scalable enough for us to actually operationalize across the world, because we do not want to apply different standards in different places and make these judgment calls. And it's really important for that scale to happen and that global operations to happen. The next aspect is tools, which is what I alluded to before. So what would tools look like? If you go on your Facebook or newsfeed today, there's a 3 dots next to any single content you post. And those 3 dots are your reporting. So these are just simple tools that we have developed across the board. We have our privacy tools, our security tools, our safety tools, various things that helps you to navigate how you want your online experience to be. So if you want to be a very public person, you can have tools and you can use these tools to create that persona. If you want to be a very private person, you can use tools like locked profile and have that, very private, very narrow experience that you would like to create with your community. So that's kind of where tools coming, and we want to make sure the tools that we are also developing are also being responsive to the needs on the ground. And we're cognizant of making sure that they're addressing the gaps that we see and being able to but are also accessible and simple to understand. The next one is resources. And really that's where BRAC and we're going to work together a lot more. We're going to build these resources, such as we already currently have the Facebook Women's Hub that we're going to be launching together with BRAC as part of the partnership. But there's also the Facebook Family Center, the Facebook Parental Guides. Last year, we launched the Instagram Parental Guide Instagram Parental Guide in Bangla, which actually allows you as a parent who's coming online with a teenager who is eligible to use our services. How do you have a conversation with them? How do you talk to them about safety? How do you talk to them about privacy? Because in our experience, we see that the way I think about privacy and the way my 14-year-old or 15-year-old niece thinks about privacy is completely different. We have very different understandings of that. So it's really important, instead of trying to prescribe tools, to use these resources as conversation starters, as facilitators, to have those open conversations where parents and young people can have that trust, but at the same time, families can build trust. And that's really important, and we're trying to build a bit on that. The fourth one is heart of everything that we're doing today, which is partnerships. We really believe we are not the only actor here. There's a plethora of actors that needs to be a part of it. Currently, we work with 400 partners around the world, and we're very excited about our partnership with BRAC in Bangladesh, because like you rightly said, we're building a coalition, and advocacy sort of network around it. And the hope is that through these partnerships, we become more and more attuned to the realities on the ground, to the offline scenario that you've rightly said that we don't always have that visibility. So how do we make sure those are surfaced at the global level? And how do we build these partnerships to address those kinds of gaps? And the last one is feedback. And feedback is very important because when we do not get feedback, we do not know where we could do better. And we really do want to go better. I think one of the things that I've seen in my time at Meta is that nothing here is static. Everything is constantly evolving because that is just the nature of digital spaces. So this feedback, this continuous loop that we're going to create with this long-term partnership with BRAC, where you can share what you're getting from the ground and we can share what we're seeing, coming together to develop policies, tools, resources, and additional partnerships, subsidiary partnerships that can then help us improve the experience of people coming online in Bangladesh today.
Yeah, I think this point. I mean, the last point I would say that I mean, this is very, because you finished with feedback, because this is also something that we say that we need to learn by doing it, right? So this is a start, but we need to get that feedback and do course correction, because at the end of the day, this is about changing behaviors to a certain extent as well. And this is behavior change is something that Bangladesh's social organizations have done really well. I know many in the past, I have seen our organization, which does sufficient amount of awareness, there is password sharing that happens. So this is a very common phenomenon across. This is a bit of cultural that people actually don't take this very seriously. So how do we ensure that it's not just about awareness, it's actually also knocking people to change their behaviors about certain things. So that is very important, because fundamentally, as you said at the beginning, that girls and women are coming online more and more. So, and they are often with devices and other issues. They are very much sort of always a few steps behind because of lack of access. So we need to ensure they just not get access, but at the same time, they are sufficiently equipped with enough information that they can also protect themselves. So that is very, very important, because this is a really, really strong empowerment tool if it's rightly used, and we want to make that happen. And Meta's Facebook is the most useful and most popular platform in Bangladesh. So, and this is the way to start. Thank you.
Thank you. Asif, I'm really excited about what we're going to do together, and I'm really excited about particularly around the more localized tools and resources that we can bring to Bangladesh, because like you rightly said, if people they have just gone through this massive period of digital divide and now they're coming online for the first time. How do you do that behavior change? What kind of messaging work? What kind of information is helpful? How do you make it simple and meaningful? I think it's going to be really important. And we're looking forward to this partnership, because I think that's going to really help us drive those meaningful changes. So thank you for this. I'm looking forward to working together, and we're very excited to collectively launch this partnership.
Very excited. Thank you so much, Dia.
Thanks, everyone.